Hi, I'm Steve Biggery, your host for Tech Cuisine. We're a podcast that covers the latest in restaurant tech trends, operational innovations, and strategies to reduce friction, enhance the guest experience, and a whole lot more. Each episode will feature marquee leaders, owners, operators, and innovators within the restaurant industry. Today, I'm continuing our discussion with Scott Gladstone of Dine Brands for our second Tech Cuisine episode.
You know, Scott, Dine Brands are famous for being known and loved, and you talk about that warmly as legacy brands, but I think they're legacy brands that inspire people. They certainly inspire me. I'm very interested in some of the new envelopes that you're moving into. You really stretch the envelope, and I think one of the areas that I'm very familiar with is the work you've done at Curbside and Pickup Windows and Applebee's. Can you unpack that a little bit for us?
Sure. Legacy brands means we've been at it for a while, and I think Carside and To Go is a good example of that. We pioneered Carside probably at this point 25 years ago almost. We're the first in the category to make that part of the service model. And
I bet a lot of people listening didn't know that. I certainly did, but
that's true. And those, we've got very loyal customers who have used that for a long time and set us apart. This is back, to the early 2000s. So, it's something we've been doing for a while. I'd say there was, maybe some questions if we took our eyes off the ball at various points of time over the years as different priorities move. But it certainly gave us a really strong foundation, coming into when I was part of the brand directly, 2017, 18, 19. We spent a lot of time trying to build up that infrastructure because we just looked at the industry trends and you could start to see, then what was happening, which was that, guest behavior was changing, people's preferences were changing. They didn't have time to, spend as much time, as many occasions within the four walls of your restaurant, But they still wanted to experience the brand on their own terms at home. And so we were reinforcing that Carside experience. We started to test with third-party delivery. We did in-house delivery tests. There's a lot of test and learn that went on during that time period. And I think really set us up well. And, what we're able to, from a Dine perspective is share best practices across both brands, which was great. So now if you go to an IHOP, you can get a Carside experience and you can do third-party delivery. And there's a lot of, similarities now in terms of channels that are available. And, I think that just allowed us to survive, during the COVID time period. If we hadn't had those channels up, and if we hadn't had the reps in, it would have been much more difficult than it already was.
Yeah.
And, post-COVID, obviously things are totally different in terms of channel mixes. Pre-COVID, each of the brands did somewhere under 10% in terms of their total sales were off premise, and now it's 20 to 25%. So doubling of the business, doubling of those sales volumes, it changes and impacts a lot of what happens operationally, which is where our focus areas are now. But because Applebee's was early innovator, it gave us the leeway to continue to test and learn, and we've had great partners along the way. We're 100% franchise for both brands, and so that requires willing and able franchise operators to support us, and we've got some pretty forward-thinking folks there too. So it's a lot to unpack under there as to what exactly we did, but it's been an important channel for us as we look at the trends.
I think it's pretty remarkable coming from the franchise world and actually being on the other side of the table that you've been able to lead those group of very strong-willed individuals through all that transformation. It's pretty remarkable. Moving a little bit over to the new brand, the youngest member of the team, Fuzzy's.
Mm-hmm.
What's different about Fuzzy's?
Better, special, and different is what our CEO, John, says a lot about brands and what makes a great brand. And so they are better, special, and different in a lot of ways in their category and the type of cuisine that they offer. And so, from a corporate development standpoint, we looked at various brands, and we've talked publicly for a number of years about Dine looking to extend its platform and acquire a growth brand. And Fuzzy's checked all the boxes as we were looking at it. First of all, we're restaurants. It has to be about the food and the experience. And so walking into a Fuzzy's, it's very different, especially for somebody from the West Coast, where we don't really have this type of concept. I think it's more commonplace in Texas where they're based. But, it's a fast casual model, order at the counter, but with a full bar setup and just very approachable, widely appealing menu that people seem to enjoy. And obviously we validated that and backed it up with research. And we just think they stand out in the market and have a lot of headroom for growth. Again, because the food is great, because the experience and the ambiance is great. It's a place you want to go, and it's a place you want to go frequently. They're very high frequency with their guest base, and a lot of white space in the market and great unit economics. So again, checked a lot of boxes, and we're excited to see what we can do.
It sounds like an awful lot of fun. And I think as a growing brand, how much they could benefit from the things I see around here, as I walk through your new headquarters, the amazing work that you've done bringing people together and helping them to communicate and facilitate that communication, and the test kitchen. It's just remarkable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was the hypothesis going in, and happy to see that part is playing out. As we were, building the case for ourselves as to why we wanted to acquire something, a lot of it was about the platform and the capabilities we've built. We've got world-class, franchising capabilities as it relates to legal and finance and HR and IT and communications and a whole bunch of shared services that we've built here. And when you find a concept that's in the growth phase, and it's 150 units today, versus the brands that we have with Applebee's and IHOP, which are cumulatively 3,700 units. Yes. It's very different, and the capabilities that they had in house were very different. And so we've definitely been able to add value and provide them leverage so that they can be single-minded and focused, one, on their consumer, and then two, on developing units.
So I'm guessing we're going to see a few more Fuzzies down the track.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
I can think of,
God willing, there'll be a Fuzzies on every.
There's a Fuzzies on every street corner.
Uh-huh.
A Fuzzies in every pot.
Right.
Excellent.
Yes.
I heard about the International Bank of Pancakes
mm-hmm.
and the stack market,
mm-hmm.
and I had to ask you what that's all about.
Well, hopefully you've had a chance to try it, because it's been in market now for well over a year. I think it's very creative. It stands out. It's a traditional earn and burn loyalty program, but the way it's been positioned and marketed with the International Bank of Pancakes and the stack market, it's clever, and it provides some tangible monetary value in a lot of ways to the consumers. And it's not just calling it points, they're pan coins, and it really ties into the brand. So, great activation for the brand and a great way for us to build on our loyal members. And so, we've been reporting out publicly. We're now over 5 million members in the database. They're on 5% over 5% of all transactions. And that's, I think, a good signal that what we're doing is working and that guests appreciate this type of offer. And hopefully it keeps them coming back more often and enjoying our brand and sharing it with friends. So we think it's compelling. Loyalty in general is becoming more and more common. It's not everywhere, but it's a great tool to connect with your guest, and we're happy with the early results.
Well, it sure is fun, and my family and I sure enjoy it. So IHOP, we look for great things from them.
For more information about Tech Cuisine, please visit our website at techcuisine.com.